Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. The theme of journeying towards our heavenly home has featured in the Nuggets recently, remembering the Lord's claim that he was not only the light for the journey, but the way itself. Thomas told him that he didn't know where Christ was going, so how was it even possible to know the way? And the Lord pointed to himself and announced that being in him was the way. Christianity was, we know from the earliest times, called the way, both a way of living, a way of believing, and a way of directing others who have lost themselves on the journey. The Lord used that travelling image many times in his discourses and parables, most notably taking the narrow path or way that leads to salvation. Scripture abounds with those images, for example, the two choices of Moses, death or life. In a long or an average life, staying on the narrow path without stumbling, straying, or actually getting lost is pretty difficult. The saints, we're told, are always those who pick themselves up after a fall, another reason for the great gift that is the sacrament of reconciliation or confession. Another universal feature of the saints was their sense that even at the end of an apparently long and holy life, they were really just beginning. St. Francis of Assisi would tell his brothers at the end of his life that they'd barely begun, and St. Josemaria said the same. These thoughts hit me powerfully as I read some words of St. Thomas Aquinas in the office last week. Thomas uses the image of limping rather than running or walking purposefully on the way. He says, his words, "It is better to limp in the way than to make good speed beside the way. For he who limps in the way, even though he makes little progress, draws nearer to the destination. He who walks away from the way gets further from the destination the faster he runs." I found those words tremendously comforting and helpful. They seem to speak both of contemporary society and the individual. Society, as it departs from Christian life and practice, is the one that is speeding away from the destination. That's also the case with many people who abandon the faith or the practice of the faith and follow the latest fads and fashions. The journey may appear speedy and smooth, but it's a journey leading to a very unpleasant destination. Many of us, however, are limping, but for those faults and injuries, at least we're on the right track. To limp, of course, implies some injury and comes from the same root as the word lame. The Lord told the disciples of John to notice how the blind and the lame were healed by the action and presence of the Lord. So much in our lives has caused us to spiritually limp, both our own sins, psychological traumas, memories, familial problems, or even actual physical struggles. We are, without it being a cliche, the walking wounded. Part of the beginning of healing is the acknowledgement that there is actually a wound. The oft-used phrase of the Church being a field hospital for the wounded means that people should emerge with their wounds treated, not confirmed in their sickness. The journey may be slow, and sometimes, as St. Thomas says, we seem to make little progress. But like the old story of the tortoise and the hare, if we keep limping on the right path and don't give up, we will make journey's end. Brethren, rejoice, be perfected, be comforted, be of the same mind, be at peace, and the God of peace and love will be with you.